And welcome back, everyone, to Beyond the Forecast. I am Chief Meteorologist Michael Stevens, and I thank you for being here on this Wednesday afternoon. Spend a little time with us to talk a little bit of science, a little bit of weather, and mix them together and have a little fun as well. So thank you for being here. Today, we're going to take you into two new things. We're going to take meteorologist John Gross's advice on more boater safety, more important things that you need to have, especially in these summer months, that if you want to go out on the big lakes, even the inland lakes, or even some rivers, more important information that you must have. And then meteorologist Haley Fischetti is going to sit down with a tremendous interview with Dr. Nikki Rothwell, who is at Northwest Michigan Horticulture and Research. They talk everything cherries and why they do so well here in northern Michigan, but also how climate change is starting to impact the amazing fruit. And then at the end of the show, we'll dive back into our Beyond the Forecast live streaming podcast with meteorologist Haley Fischetti and I. So that's the jam-packed show for your Wednesday. But before we get to that, let's do some of the fun stuff, shall we? This day in weather history, July 9th, 1882. This one is mind-boggling. I don't know how this is possible, but ice formed on the streets of Cheyenne, Wyoming during a rare summer freeze. Okay, it's making a little more sense to me now. 1882. 1882, there's probably not pavement on the roads in Cheyenne. So that makes it a little bit easier to fathom, because pavement obviously stays warmer, holds warmth better. So in the middle of summer, yeah, you're definitely going to hold warmth better. I can't imagine ice freezing on the roads if it was pavement. Dirt, however, a little bit different. That's wild. See, the science started going when I read this one. But yeah, this day in history, July 9th, 1882, ice formed on the streets of Cheyenne, Wyoming. Insanity. That's crazy. All right, trivia time. Yesterday we asked, true or false, dirt mixed with wind create storms called black blizzards. This is true. So usually with dust storms, you get more of that kind of orangish and kind of more just traditional dust stormish color. But believe it or not, where you have parts of the United States with that darker dirt, like in Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, where you have that very fertile ground, when you have winds pick that up, it creates a black blizzard. That's what they named it. So there you go, that is true. All right, today we want to know, true or false, ombrophobia is the fear of the sun. QR code right there. Hit it with your phone. It'll take you to where you can answer. Ombrophobia is the fear of the sun. We'll have the answer for you tomorrow on Beyond the Forecast. Weather word of the day. Today is anvil. Anvil. Now, I know you're on the other side of the screen saying anvil's not weather. No, an anvil is a metal thing that you ting, ting, you know, that the smiths, what are they called? Yeah, they forge iron, right? Ping, king, king, make swords and horseshoes and stuff like that. Why can't I think of the name? The Smiths. Anyway, I don't know why I'm having mind fog on that one. But an anvil, in the weather side of things, refers to a thunderstorm. So when you have a cumulonimbus cloud, like a thunderstorm, it goes up so high. And once you get so high, the winds are so strong, it creates a cloud that looks like an anvil, because it's shearing off the top of the cloud. And it pushes all of those clouds, possibly upwards of 25, 50, even 100 miles downstream of those winds. So that is anvil. When the thunderstorm grows so tall that the wind shears off, creates an anvil-looking cloud. Anvil. So there you go. Why still I cannot think? It's not ironsmith. Blacksmith. Holy smokes. I am not cutting any of that, so you guys can just realize the realization when it hit. Holy smokes, blacksmiths, anvils. Okay, let's move on. Viewer photo of the day brought to you by Great Rooms. As always, today's photo was sent in from Jack Peters. Jack sent in this amazing photo that says, end to the day, or end to an active day on Lake Superior. Gorgeous photo. I can bet you it looks like it was very active. Look at all that standing water. Jack, thank you so much for sending in that photo. And also thank you to Great Rooms for sponsoring viewer photo of the day. Blacksmiths. I don't know why I was a little bit of brain fog there, but it's gone now. I promise, hopefully. All right, let's get the show started. Sending it over to meteorologist John Gross, who's going to take us back into more boater safety fun facts and things you need to know about getting out on the lakes. We'll have that coming up right after the break.
Hey there, everybody. Meteorologist John Gross. Welcome back to Beyond the Forecast. As we are now getting into the summer months here, especially into northern Michigan, we are talking about warmer temperatures. We're talking about beach days, lake days, time to get out on the water and just enjoy yourself. But you want to make sure that you're doing it the right way. You want to make sure that you're doing it safely, especially for everybody who is going to be out on the boat, out on the pontoon, whatever you might be taking to enjoy yourself out on the water. So we're just going to go over a few boating safety tips to make sure that you and your party or whoever it might be enjoying themselves out on the lake, out on the water, wherever you might be going, can do so safely. So here's a few good tips that we're talking about. And one of the main ones, especially for everybody that is going to be on your boat, is making sure that they have a life jacket to wear in case something happens to your boat. What do I mean? Well, you can have your boat capsize, you can have your boat catch on fire. Anything can happen when you're out on the water. You are at the mercy of the elements, so you want to make sure in case something happens to your boat and you have to get in the water, you don't have a choice, that life jacket, that can be a life or death situation, or at least something that keeps you from staying on top of the water before you get in a situation that, well, you might not want to be in. So that is number one. That is key, making sure that everyone has a life jacket for every person that is on the boat. Another good one, especially here in the state of Michigan, we have a lot of lakes, including the Big Five Great Lakes, making sure that you know the boating laws so you're not getting a silly citation, a silly ticket. Anybody who's on your boat, if you are the captain, per se, of the boat, you are responsible for everybody on the boat. So making sure that you and everybody else is following all the state laws. And another good thing that you can do is taking a boat safety course. Just making sure you know how to operate your boat. All the gizmos, all the gadgets, all the buttons, where you should be driving your boat. Very similar to, well, how you get a driver's license to just drive a vehicle out on the roadway. Similar conditions when you're boating out on the water. More safety tips that we're talking about. Prepare your boat before hitting the water. What do we mean by that? It's kind of like checking your car before you're heading out on a road trip. Making sure the gas is good, making sure that the oil is good, making sure that your motor is all good to go, making sure that, again, you have life jackets for every person that is going to be on the boat. Those types of things. Just making sure that your boat is fully operational. Does it have the running lights working, especially if you're going to be taking out a little bit later at night or maybe earlier on in the morning. Something else that you can do, and this pertains to, well, what we do here, the forecast. Not only the forecast in the air, but you're going to be on the water. And the forecast, when you're on an open body of water versus over a landmass, it can vary quite a bit. Not only are we talking about air temperatures, but we're talking about water temperatures, wind speeds, things of that nature, wave heights, UV index, surf zone forecast. We've touched on that before. It's a good tool to have. So making sure you know all that information before you do head out on the boat. Something else that you can do to make sure that you are having a great boat day, letting somebody know about your boat trip on shore, just in case something happens. You never know. But if that person or people on shore can get a message to whomever might need it to help you out in a situation that maybe you didn't think might happen, that can just help speed up the process of rescue, recovery, whatever it might be. Or just making sure that somebody just knows where you're at. Being out on an open body of water, especially on a boat, again, you're more susceptible to anything that is going on in the environment. So that's just another good tool to have. And the last three that we've got for you right here, making sure that you're always following the navigation, the rules on the water. What do I mean by that? Well, we've got rules on the road, and we've got rules on the water. Is it a no-wake zone? Where should you be driving your boat? Should you be on the right side of the channel, the left side of the channel, things of that nature. So just making sure that you're following those rules and, well, the rules of the water, just like you would if you were driving a vehicle on the roadway. Avoid drinking on the boat, especially if you are the captain of the boat. Obviously, if it's summertime and maybe you're out having a good time, you got some music playing, whatever it might be, we're not deterring you from having that good time. Obviously, age appropriate, especially for anything alcoholic. We want 21 plus, but if you're the driver of the boat, making sure that you are staying sober. That way, everybody else on the boat can get where they need to go safely and just overall have a good time. Trying to avoid any, again, citations, tickets, or just driving a boat intoxicated. Not a good thing to do. And last thing, and this kind of ties into just letting somebody know that you're going to be out on the boat all day, just keeping in touch with that person, having a way to contact somebody on land in case, again, something does happen and you need to be rescued, you need assistance, whatever it might be from the boating trip that you took. That person or people that you have contact with on land, they can get you help if you need it that much quicker. And that ultimately can maybe save your life. If you're talking about a situation where your boat capsized, if your boat caught on fire, anything like that. So just making sure that you're doing a lot of these tips. They're good ones. And so everyone can, well, have a great time out on the boats and enjoy a lake day or a boat day, especially here into northern Michigan. I'm meteorologist John Gross reporting for Beyond the Forecast.
Thanks, John. Coming up next, meteorologist Haley Fischetti is going to be sitting down with Dr. Nikki Rothwell and talking about cherries. We'll have that right after the break.
Welcome back to Beyond the Forecast. It's meteorologist Haley Fischetti, and today I am joined with Dr. Nikki Rothwell, who is an extension specialist at MSU, but also the coordinator at the Northwest Michigan Horticulture Research Center. Thank you so much for joining me today, Nikki.
Yes, it's a real pleasure to be here, Haley. Thanks for asking.
Of course. Now, National Cherry Festival just happened. We talked about it here at 9 and 10 News a lot, and it's a big thing that brings up tourism. Also just brings up really a lot of the local community across northern Michigan. Now, I want to know, why is northern Michigan the perfect area for cherries to grow?
Yeah, so the Cherry Festival was really fun this year. And you're right, it takes the community to pull off that huge event all week. But the reason we grow the cherries here are kind of three main reasons. First of all, if you're from downstate, as soon as you start to hit north of Clare, it gets a little more rolly. And then as you get to northern Michigan, it gets even rollier. So we plant our cherries on the tops of those hills. So the cold air kind of goes just like water to the lowest point. And so all those cherries that are on those hills, they're not subjected to cold. And the frost and freeze temperatures that we can see in the spring sometimes, they'll get colder at the bottom of the hill rather than on the top. We also have really nice sandy soils. And so cherries don't like wet feet, or they don't like roots to get wet. And so we have nice, well-drained soils. And then, of course, our like kind of diamond here in Michigan is Lake Michigan.
Right.
And that is a big body of water. It keeps everything nice and cool in the spring. And then the cherries can come slowly out of dormancy. So we can grow a lot of things in northern Michigan that we can't grow at the 45th parallel around the world. And that's because the lake really moderates kind of the western area of the state.
Right. When I moved here to Michigan, everyone said the lakes control everything. And I feel like the more I'm here, the more it stands to be true. Even when
it
comes
is
to
really
growing.
true. And it's really important for us in agriculture. It allows us
Right.
to grow things, further north than we can. If you look at the 45th parallel all around the world, it goes through some really chilly places.
Yeah.
It's a surprise that we can grow things that we can right here on that 45th parallel.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, when it comes to picking these cherries, we kind of talk about how maybe this season might be a little early right now. When is prime picking season for these cherries?
Yeah, so actually we're a little later than normal this year. We usually have local cherries for the Cherry Festival, and we did have some early varieties of sweet cherries, but we're about, I would say, 7 days to maybe 10 days behind.
Okay.
And that's because we had a really cool spring. But I would say that most of our sweet cherry harvest is going to start this week. So growers in earnest are going to be getting in there and getting those sweets off. And then we usually say tarts start around 5 to 7 days later. So
Okay.
tart cherries are those really, really bright red ones that, you may make pies out of and dried
Right.
cherries.
Awesome. Now, we talk about climate change and how, as a meteorologist, I'm always watching to see how the climate is changing our winters and our summers. How is climate change impacting our cherry growth here in northern Michigan?
So I was telling someone else this, Haley, if the climate would just change and stay there, we'd be good. But now it just keeps changes and it's curveballs that are different every year. So
Right.
I would say our areas had a lot of rain and it seems like a lot of humidity.
Mhm.
So that really favors fungal pathogens. It really favors this invasive insect pest we have that can really crank out generations when it's warm and humid. So I think those are some of the challenges. We've also had 2 hailstorms already this year.
Yeah.
So that is really affected 2 different areas, like growing areas. South of Elk Rapids got hit. And then a couple weeks ago, just here at the research center, we were just out and looking at some of our orchards. I could see hail damage in our orchard.
Wow.
So those are the things that really are confusing to us. And then we had some cold weather in April, and I
Mhm.
didn't think it got that cold, but I do see that at the research station, our crop size is reduced because of those cold temperatures at the end of April.
That is so interesting how just maybe a few cold nights can impact such a variety of the crops and the growth of every year, and how farmers really do care about. It makes me understand more when people email me so important about the growing season of why it really matters, because that's your season, that's your harvest for really the year. Now, when it comes to the following years, as you guys are seeing maybe a pattern of maybe colder springs or maybe an increase of thunderstorms producing hail, what does this mean for the future of growing? How are you researching, if you are researching, maybe ways to combat the changing climate?
Yeah, so I would say that this climate change situation is causing growers, I think it's even harder, and I think that risk goes up to get a good crop every year.
Right.
Kind of looking back through the history books here and kind of think when we had a really big crop, and I think it was like 2016, and it's really been a while since we've had really kind of gangbuster type crops. So that's one thing I think that some of the things that we're doing that I never really thought I'd do. So I have 3 new irrigation trials.
Mhm.
So that's the other thing I was talking to our climatologist at MSU about. The rainfall is so variable now. So the research station got, a 1/4 inch of rain on Sunday, and then up just north of Sutton's Bay, which is 15 minutes away, we got over an inch of rain.
Mhm.
So trying to understand water use, and then the other thing is we get too much water sometimes and then not enough in other times. So trying to
Right.
properly figure out how to irrigate crops, I think, is really important. We're trying to understand this invasive insect pest a little bit more,
Mhm.
because it's really driven, insects are driven because they're kind of cold-blooded. So they're driven
Right.
by weather and by temperature, and trying to understand the patterns of what makes this kind of population size increase exponentially. And then, of course, we're always doing work in diseases. Our pathologists on campus and I do lots of different trials on fungal pathogens. And then we also have a bacterial pathogen that's been causing problems because we have cold damage in the spring in cherries, and it causes this bacteria to enter the plants. So we've got
Interesting.
a lot of different irons in the fire that are trying to address these different things for climate change.
Well, no, I thank you for sharing that. I think that's definitely something uh tourists and even locals are going to pay attention to in the future when it comes to cherry growth. And it's good to see that you guys, of course, are already boots on the ground researching ways to combat that. Thank you so much, Dr. Nikki Rothwell, for taking your time today talking about cherry growth and now getting ready for the next couple of weeks for all these cherries to be harvested across northern Michigan.
You always know it's cherry season because when you stop at corners, a lot of times you'll see cherries on the ground because they slosh out of the tank. So I saw them yesterday on my way home from work. So
All right,
it's
that's the
cherry
sign.
season.
I'm going to start
Yep.
looking then.
Thank you, Dr. Nikki and meteorologist Haley Fischetti. Appreciate that interview. Now, coming up next, we're going to jump back into our live streaming Beyond the Forecast podcast. We'll have that right after the break. And welcome back, everyone, to Beyond the Forecast. Every Tuesday at 10 a.m., me and meteorologist Haley Fischetti, we sit down and we talk Beyond the Forecast live streaming podcasts with you, the viewers. You can join us on the 910 News Facebook page, 910 News YouTube channel, as well as my professional page and also Haley's professional page. Every Tuesday, 10 a.m. And if you want to watch them back, you can also go to the 910 News YouTube channel and watch them back. And we are working very hard to get them up on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts for you if you want to listen to them back. So thank you for being here today. We do appreciate it. For meteorologist Haley Fischetti and meteorologist John Gross, I am Chief Meteorologist Michael Stevens. Be good, stay safe, take care. We'll see you all right back here for Thursday's edition of Beyond the Forecast. Take care, everybody.